January, when the Masters arrives at Ali Pali in London. Tickets for that are available online right now. We began the week here with 128 players. Tonight, only one can lift the Stephen Hendry Trophy. This is the final, it's the best of 17 frames, and it's time now to welcome the players. We begin with a player with 18 career ranking titles, including this season's European Masters. He's a two-time UK champion, a three-time Masters and World champion, and the reigning and defending Scottish Open champion, the Jester from Leicester, Mark Selby. And his opponent, the record breaker with 37 ranking titles, 7 times a winner of both the Masters and UK Championship. He's the 6th-time and reigning champion of the world, the Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan.
It's a tail, your choice. Ronnie to break, okay, thank you.
Here we go then, foes reunited. One of the most absorbing rivalries in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Selby for the Stephen Hendry Trophy. First to 9 to win this Scottish Open. Understandably, a lot of excitement surrounding this one. Selby has played really well this week, particularly last night against Jamie Jones. We know O'Sullivan has had various issues with various tips, but he's here again in yet another ranking final. Leo Scully is in charge. And for all the talk of best of 7 lotteries, it's the 2nd successive Home Nations event that features in the final the top 2 seeds in the tournament. Mark Selby, the defending champion, O'Sullivan seeded 2nd as world champion. 8 frames then to play this afternoon. This could be a real winter warmer for snooker fans. And Neil, we were saying last night about the betting, and Mark Selby starts just marginal favourite.
Yeah, some firms have it each of 2. They can't decide, but the ones that can decide one way or another go with this man, and I can only assume, because really there is so little between them, it is on the form of the week. They've been watching. Of the 2, Mark has played the best. He was very, very proficient last night. He was better than that with 3 back-to-back hundreds. To be honest, O'Sullivan has been flashes of genius. Half the time he's been winging it this week. Let's be brutally honest about it. Different tips on. He's not been in his best, but I think interesting chat last night, wasn't it, Mark Selby? He made 1 or 2 little remarks, I thought, in his interview in the studio about Ronnie. Man he has great respect for, but mentioned the tips and 1 or 2 excuses being made. I think Selby's really up for this. Sullivan, we're going to find out if he's up for it. I suspect he will be.
Yeah, I think they both see it as a way of testing each other against the other player. There's a lot of respect there. Yeah, I mean, you can pour through all the stats, but I think from Selby's perspective, the fact he's beaten O'Sullivan in the finals of the 3 big ones, the World, the UK and the Masters, speaks volumes, even though every match played, O'Sullivan is ahead 16-10.
One.
Good red, but no obvious colour unless he wants to cut this in. It's quite thin. Yeah, the other thing on the head-to-heads, I suppose, you'd look at is that O'Sullivan has won the last 2. Welsh Open 2020 and then World Championships. That magnificent game of snooker we saw back in August. One of the best I've seen at the Crucible by the odd frame O'Sullivan. Taking this on, but a little cut back can be missed. Very positive shot from Selby, and I think he'll need to be positive today. For the posturing of O'Sullivan and the safety skills of Selby, it'll come down to who makes the best breaks, who pots the most balls. Clearly, that's all that really matters.
Well, he's made 7 centuries in the tournament, including, of course, 3 last night. Could have had more than that as well.
Nine. Pink ball.
Many snooker fans will recall Selby's first ranking final, 2003 Scottish Open, a different tournament to this one, not part of the home nations. Lost to David Gray. Has to be said, it wasn't a great final, and there weren't really the signs then that Selby would become the player he has done. But he's done it through sheer hard work, discipline.
Thank you.
And of
15.
course through his iron temperament.
Yes, if you go back to that final, his cue action was completely different to now. I mean, he had an extraordinary cue action, actually, Selby. It was the longest backswing and I think I've ever seen. The whole thing was out of control. He went away, worked very hard, completely rebuilt his game. Came back a very different proposition. He was good then, but he's a winner now, a champion.
Twenty-one.
Any match, I guess you're looking to start well, but certainly a final. And certainly a final against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Oh, he's missed that one though. Just as things were looking good in this opening frame.
Yeah, missed it by a way, didn't he? It was the old story with Mark. There's a lot of movement on the shot, but there is anyway, so you can't really put it down to that. It was a difficult cueing shot, that's basically it. It's a fascinating match, this. I couldn't be looking forward to it more. I saw the UK final with Judd Trump and Neil Robertson. That was a clash of two modern day greats. This one has got something a little bit more spicy to it, I think, than that even. Slightly generational thing. Of course, Ronnie O'Sullivan is the player you want to watch play. What a shot that is. Not on the colour. Couldn't have been more committed to the pot there, could he? To try to develop something. The pink just going too far. Be interesting to see if we do see a different demeanour about O'Sullivan, because even yesterday and in the previous matches, the business with the tip and just his general way, it wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea as a snooker fan watching how he's been this week. I think one or two people messaged me and weren't delighted to see him maybe disrespecting the game a bit. I'm not saying that's the case, but certain people thought it. Wouldn't go that far. I don't think we'll see any of that today somehow.
Sullivan one.
No disrespect on that shot. He covered the red to the left corner. I think he has. The kind of table, it's quite hard to find safety shots. These two, you know the game inside out, have been racking their brains here. Reds are so spread, it's very hard to get it safe. Got a bit lucky there. He lost control of the red. It's coming back towards the cue ball, as you saw.
Yeah, it's heart in mouth time for Selby. Sullivan, he said an interesting thing when he was working with us here at Eurosport, commentating and therefore having to watch matches about Selby. He said, I realised, having watched him play other players, it wasn't just me he did it against. It wasn't just me he tried to tie up in knots. That's how he plays. I think it gave him a slightly different perspective on Mark Selby as a player. And so he'll be prepared today for whatever sort of match it is. He certainly was at the Crucible. I know we saw some of those maybe crazy shots towards the end before the final started, but he really did dig in that match. Mark Selby led most of the way. Sullivan dug in and got the win as Selby knocks that in, so the impasse is broken.
Well, as he kissed the brown into play, I don't know. He deserved a good kiss there because it was a very bold shot. Cuba was steered up the table. I don't know if he can get through to the brown or even whether the green will pass it. Got to play the green, and it's a tight ask as to whether it goes. It's not an easy shot, actually. Dropping in behind the yellow might be the way forward here. Which brings about, my first thought is, what is O'Sullivan going to do? Is he going to blitz the cue ball at him, as he did in the World Championships, as we saw?
Mark Selby won.
This is the first time we've had to find out.
Foul, a miss. Mark Selby, 4. Yeah.
This looks certain to hit, didn't it? Just catches the jaws. Doesn't.
Well, he's trying to get across there and hit it off the second cushion, I think. That's the idea. Well, he was the first time. I think it was worth persisting with that, you know. I don't see why he had to go that route. there. I mean, I think he was so close the first time, I couldn't see that it wasn't worth having another pop at that. But that's what he did in the World Championships. Won't mind being left chances like this, though.
One.
The whole idea maybe was to unsettle, but he won't be unsettled by having the frame at his mercy. Selby won't.
No, I mean, a red had to go down there, the way he played the shot. Like you say, the first time he was just a centimetre away from hitting the red. So Selby's second good chance. Of course, he missed a red earlier on 21. It's just an intriguing match, isn't it? It's more than just a normal final between two top players. There's a lot of history between them. It's not just the snooker, it's everything else as well that makes it so fascinating.
That's not a good shot. He played the cannon.
16.
He definitely played the cannon, the right-hand red of the two. Doesn't mean he won't pop the next ball, but he's a little further away from it than he should be. Now he's moved on to have a look at the plant, but stretch across and play the other red.
Seven.
Likely to play potentially the cannon again onto that red. Certainly won't be hitting this very hard, whatever he plays. Managed to get the other side. The only thing I will say about the Sullivan shot, there is nothing more frustrating than playing an intricate escape and you get it almost right, but you still end up leaving reds. You've gone down a little meekly, so Sullivan's not going to play it that way. It's his decision. It worked in the World Championship semi-final. You have to concede that point.
No, that's right. Everyone has their own tactics and they either work or they don't. And they did that day. They may well do today as well.
It's a bit of a stretch. Blue is almost in play by
25.
side there on this shot. Anyway, well played.
So this black's going to put him 57 in front. We'll need a couple more reds to secure the opening frame. Of course, it was O'Sullivan he beat to win his first ranking title, 2008 Welsh Open. He came from 8-5 down to win 9-8.
Top 3.
So it looks like first blood Selby. This frame, I think, could be a microcosm of the whole final. It's been fascinating seeing how the two players are approaching it, how they're feeling early on. Selby, you know, he missed that red early on, but ultimately you can forget about that.
49.
Yeah, Sullivan potted that red to the middle at pace and tried to develop the pink and black and other reds. He did the second part, but he didn't get on the colour. That's basically all he did wrong. And then, of course, with Selby rolling up behind the yellow,
55.
a few old wounds were opened up in the match as well.
56.
Carried on where he left off last night, Selby. Scored heavily.
That's Selby, 56.
Well, will O'Sullivan play on? He is coming back to the table, but a 56 from Selby, so it's his frame guaranteed. It is frame 1, in fairness. You do see this. Of course, at times during the week he's been carrying on in later frames in the match.
One.
He claims not to practice at the venue on the various practice tables which are there for the players. I think at the start of these home nations events, it's not the easiest thing to get a knock on any of the tables. Players everywhere. Low-ranked players full of hope and expectation. Trying to get a bit of practice in. It is not the most tranquil place to practice from. It's not for O'Sullivan. So he's kind of doing his practice in frames that he's lost at the end of them.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to book practice times. It's a bit like trying to get tickets for Glastonbury. You know, they just go very quickly if you're not on the ball. But obviously there's only these two here now.
Bit more chaotic than Glastonbury. When you get out there.
15. O'Sullivan, 15.
Well, he wasn't just trying to pot some balls there. He's trying to get... I mean, I don't even know how many snookers he needs, but it's too many.
Well, it must be 10. He's 66 behind with 27 on.
2.
It's not going to bother Selby.
I don't know what the record is for the amount of snookers gained in a professional match, but I know that we've seen half a dozen before now on very rare occasions, haven't we?
9.
Well, there are all sorts of stories, aren't there, from the old Norbrecht days of people getting snookers in double figures, but the actual truth of them we're not sure about.
Unseen by anybody except the two players. And there wouldn't have been too many spectators in some of those booths either watching.
Right, Selby, 9.
Well, he's not conceding.
This is the point, isn't it? I mean, most players would happily hit a couple of balls to just get themselves in order, but he's trying to get the snooker still.
Well, if you've been looking to make a cup of tea but don't want to miss any of the action, this could be the moment.
Five. O'Sullivan, 5.
And the sting has been taken out of this frame a little bit. It's been over a while. Interesting that Selby didn't just drop that in there, isn't it? Why did he try and play a snooker back?
Well, this is what happened with O'Sullivan and Alain Robidoux. The match people remember when O'Sullivan played left-handed, Robidoux didn't like it. Last frame, Robidoux needed a load of snookers on the pink, and O'Sullivan, when he had chances to pot it, didn't. So it just carried on for 10-15 minutes with nothing happening. But that ends it. Get the feeling Selby will pot the black as well, just to make his point. His break of 56 was the decisive contribution in this frame. So 1 down, 16 to go. It's advantage Mark Selby in the final of Snooker Scottish Open. He leads Ronnie O'Sullivan 1-0. So Mark Selby's won the opening frame of the final, and the key moment, I guess, is when he snookered O'Sullivan. What's interesting about the shot O'Sullivan plays, though, it's his second attempt. The first time he got very close to the red over the pocket. Second time went with pace, left them on. Selby made 56. There was all the playing on at the end, but the frame was well and truly won. Remember, it's 8 this afternoon, possible 9 this evening. They're playing for the Stephen Hendry Trophy. Mark Selby has won his last 10 ranking finals. If he wins this one, he equals Stephen Hendry's record of 11 in succession. Of course, O'Sullivan at the World Championship went past Hendry's all-time record for ranking titles with 37.
Was a slight concern whether Reddy's going to go on that shot. He's left something of a tempter. It's one of those, the cue ball was angling away towards the bunch of reds. Playing it with left-hand side, I think, to try and avoid the reds. It's a good shot. It's hard to play without any pace. If he's gone enough, he's very unlucky.
Mark Selby.
Because it was a good shot. Played it with check side. Almost better to have gone into the bunch than that.
He knew, didn't he? He was walking away because he was right in line with the pocket.
Yes, and the long red for Selby with the black available to the opposite corner. This is an early in if it goes correctly.
One.
Did well. Could move the two reds above the black, which is a hindrance if they stay there.
Mark Selby, one.
Didn't really expect him to miss that. He was up very quickly. Yeah, I think he knew that he wasn't right on the shot. Maybe divided concentration between pot and the cannon. He sort of didn't seem surprised that he'd missed it. Walked quickly back to his chair.
One. Seven. Eight.
A couple of reds at the bottom of the bunch, as you can see. Will be potable into the same pocket. He's going to knock this red into.
60.
It wasn't very straight to play that shot. There was a bit of angle on there. But he couldn't get very easily top side the black. Now, can he get onto those two reds, or maybe he has to open them up? May not have any other option here. That's a nice split. He played it nicely. Didn't take any risks. He knew he'd be on that bottom red.
24.
Yeah, nicely done. So, first real good chance for O'Sullivan to get going today. And there's never been anyone more dangerous in this position. 3 centuries this week. I suppose you might expect more, but I won't go on about the tip again, but we know he's had various concerns. So to be in the final is a great achievement. It looked like he would lose yesterday. Li Hang basically had him in that match, but didn't beat him.
39.
Oh, he's not perfectly on this by any means. Not an easy shot to the middle.
40.
He's always been so good at recovering those shots, though. Little thin cut to the middle, difficult shots. He's got another big shot to play here. He's got to stop the cue ball from going away from the reds somehow. Might have to play a cannon. Nice cannon, that's very well played. He might not be on the red he wanted, but it's all right. Good shot.
48.
Sullivan's got the knack of making slightly tricky shots look easy, and there was an example.
$53. 54.
He's also got a knack of just killing frames off so quickly.
Very true, Dave. I think what it is, he puts the groundwork in early in the frame to get the balls into the positions where he wants them, and then
62.
the question is just joining the dots, how he plays. Some players, the break gets more difficult as the hard shots arrive. He plays the difficult shots early. He still needs to pot a couple more.
Yeah, the yellow puts him 59 ahead with 59 on. So one more red.
$64. $65. $71.
Well, he sit back strongly. Selby, though, had the opening, didn't he? Potted the long red, missed the black. Will Selby come back and play on? Is it going to be one of those sort of days?
Well, if he does it, he's got to do it for his own reasons. If you're doing it just to pay the compliment or whatever you want to call it,
72 and the
that's a different story.
The answer is no. So Ronnie O'Sullivan, a swift 72. He's on the scoreboard. Battle joined here. We're level at 1 each. It's 1-1 in the Scottish Open final
He's top
between
frame.
Mark Selby and Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Hitting back with a break of 72 to win the second frame. It's interesting, these home nations events, you know, we talk about the capacity for shocks early on, and you do get quite a few, but look at the finals this season, the three finals: Judd Trump, Neil Robertson at the English Open, Judd Trump, Ronnie O'Sullivan at the Northern Ireland Open, and here we are at the Scottish Open. So Sullivan, Selby, the biggest hitters in the game in each final.
One.
At this level, we're going to see it more and more, aren't we, over the course of the season? Big finals against top players where the break-off shot is going to play a part, leaving that red sticking out. They're going to pot them more than they miss them. Brave shot. That's a terrific shot. Serves the cue ball to get beyond the blue.
5.
Struck it nicely.
$15.
Little cannon here, I think, on the red, the other side of the black.
14. $21.
Still never lost in the Scottish Open, of course, played in the event for the first time last year. He's looking to defend a ranking title, a fourth different ranking title. In fact, the World Championship, International, China Open, he's all won back-to-back before.
22. $27.
He's nagging on his next colour here.
28.
It's a tiny bit straight, but you will need to get into the bunch, I think, to force it quite a lot to do it from there. Not perfect by any means.
35. Foul. Mark Selby 35. Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Rather surprising, that in off. Un-Selby-like.
the difference when when you don't go in off. It's a nasty little shot from the jaws.
Yeah, no fun playing from right in there. Caught these a bit thick. Keelball's not travelling as far as he hoped. Red's opened up more than he expected. Half a chance for O'Sullivan. Oh, it's a disappointing miss, actually. Might cost him the frame. He didn't get very close to it. He might have played it with a trace of left-hand side. Just pushed it onto the ball. Might be the reason he hit it thick.
One.
It's the one way you invariably will leave the shot on.
Golden chance for Selby to go back in front. Already ahead as he comes back to the table.
Eight. Nine.
Yeah, he's got not a great deal of work to do here. I mean, everything's so
14.
out in the open.
Fifteen.
It's not like boxing. You can't land a knockout blow early on in these opening sessions, but it's all about jostling for position, the mini sessions. If you can take a 3-1 lead and then get in front, coming back tonight. Both players still sort of sussing each other out as well this afternoon.
30.
But barring something dramatic, it's going to be 2-1 to Selby. He may feel he needs to pop them all though, because we saw what happened in frame one. O'Sullivan played on even with pink and black on.
Yeah, good point. Smattering of fake applause just means the frame is won behind snookers.
39.
Yeah, I've noticed now there's different grades, isn't there, of fake applause? As you say, there's a smattering, there's a sort of more vociferous one, and then there's one with whistles. That's the ultimate. You get that, you know you're doing well.
46.
Crowds are due to return in a reduced capacity at the Masters in January. The Alexandra Palace. Obviously, we can't see into the future. We don't know what will happen between now and then, but let's hope they do. Because that tournament in particular, of course, has always been in London, always been associated with the crowds and making the atmosphere. Sullivan and Selby have had many a battle in that tournament.
$54. 61.
Yes, in a roundabout way, this frame was won when Selby was in the jaws of the pocket and he hit the safety shot too thick.
62.
The half chance that Sullivan got, he never got particularly close to. So I think he just pushed it onto the ball. Left this wonderful chance, which Selby has very happily taken. Sure, even if he won today, whether it really is complete revenge for what happened at the Crucible. But it is a trophy, and it's a final ranking event. So I think should he win today, which of course he's not anywhere near doing yet, you know, he'd be quite relieved to beat this man. You know, it's such a intimidating player, I think, Sullivan these days, always has been. The way he plays at the moment, the intimidation factor is definitely in there as one of the reasons he's still up the top of his game.
I think each of them regard a win over the other as a good win, wherever it is, but certainly when it's in a final or whether it's at the Crucible, you know, a big occasion. Seems to me, though, Selby hasn't dwelt on that defeat too much. I mean, he won the first title back this season, the European Masters. Gone deep in quite a few other tournaments. So it's just enough on for the first century of the day.
'84. '89. 95.
It's black for Mark Selby's 8th century of this Scottish Open.
102 on the frame. Mark Selby.
Nicely done. Clearance of 102. The chance was there, and he took it well. And for the second time, Mark Selby leads the final. One more frame to come before the interval. It's 2-1. Welcome back 2-1 to Mark Selby. Strange thing that happened there. Ronnie O'Sullivan walked back in first, saw Selby wasn't there, sort of went away again, and now he's come back. So there's all this sort of mind game stuff going on away from the actual match. But in the match, it's 2-1. Selby's made the first century, 102. One more frame to come before
the fourth
interval.
frame. Mark Selby to break.
There's the prize waiting at the end, plus of course £70,000 and ranking points. Been another very good week. Of course, the first day there was all sorts of chaos because a lot of the COVID results hadn't come back and matches were delayed. Some matches were held over, but the team here coped with that very well. It was a late night on the first day, but they caught up and no such problem since. And then, of course, overnight they've got to again change the arena round for the World Grand Prix, which starts here tomorrow. The good news is it doesn't start till the evening, so there's a little bit more time than there was last week.
Sullivan unwilling to open the bunch up, playing the safety shot in that way. But he may have left that red on. Not that it's an easy shot this time. The cue ball, played it plain ball, would surely go into the black or even the end of the bunch. Can he get underneath it enough to screw the cue ball around the back of all of those? It's pointing the cue downwards. Playing the cue ball back to the other end of the table here. It doesn't matter so much when you miss them.
One.
Having said that, just one red sticking out. Sullivan's chance to get into the bunch here. Doesn't need a second invitation to play these shots.
Eight.
Just slid off them slightly. Not an easy shot now. They hit the bottom red half ball and it just took the cue ball up the table. Not an easy shot to keep the break going, especially with the rest.
Nine.
Lost the cue ball there. Whatever bite he was meant to get on the cue ball wasn't on it, and it went into the side of the bunch.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 9.
Average shot time so far. Selby certainly getting on with it. Of course, he just made a century. Tend to find that in break building, obviously, you're going to play quicker than the long safety duels. But he's the quicker of the two at the moment.
Well, it might be the very thin edge of the right-hand red here. Very thin. No chance. Not such an easy path around the table. The red below the black doesn't make it easy to play that shot, swinging the cue ball around here.
One.
He managed it though. Good shot.
Seven out of eight now for long potting, Mark Selby, in this match. But it's not just potting, as you say, it's getting the cue ball around the back of that red.
Five. Six. $13.
First time these two ever played was in China Open quarterfinals 2002. Mark Selby still a teenager, and he
14.
won 5-3. That was the tournament where he was he was seen by myself and others in the hotel reception at 1 in the morning, trying to get transport down to the venue to play a match at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He thought it was afternoon, didn't notice it was pitch black, so jet lagged as he looks to get into them.
21.
Yes, is that available, that red to the left corner? His demeanour suggests it might not be. I think it's the right-hand red he was looking at. Clearly the top one never went. The red just below it, I think he wondered, but again, I don't think it's on. Obviously it passes the other reds, but I don't think you could see enough of it just to pot it. So Sullivan might feel that things could have been worse from the shot that Selby got in from.
Selby 21.
It's not going to hurt him greatly, that little break. Finishes it off with a good safety shot though. I don't know which side of the blue he's trying to go, but going into it like that, might have been trying to swing the cue ball right round wide of it. Either way, it's a mistake, possibly a costly one.
One.
He's finished right in between, about 3 shots here. Blue's not great. We'll get topspin to avoid hitting the brown on the way through. He's got the red in the pocket, which helps.
Six.
Might be feeling, Mark Selby, that he's got Sullivan a little subdued, missing 1 or 2, so he's got to take advantage of it now. Get himself a lead going into the mid-session interval.
7.
Well, at first it looked like a good kiss on the pink ball, but it's not so easy to pot one. Nothing goes. That red doesn't pot, as you can see. And right at the table, none of those reds are available. On the other side.
$13. $14.
I just feel he's never quite been in control of this break.
Mark Selby, 14.
Yeah, and he's eventually missed.
No, I think you're right, Dave. Good observation. He was just potting one ball at a time without any real fluency in between.
Just never seemed to have ideal position. It's a good chance when he came to the table.
Well, that seemed to kick. It hasn't stopped the ball going in. The cue ball jumped up in the air. Never hit it all that hard either. Well,
8.
you finished there. A lot of things happened on that shot. The blue, then he glanced off the side of the bunch, developed those. Now if this bottom red goes in,
8.
he's missed a few into that pocket, you know.
She's got a bit nervy, hasn't it, now? This frame, a couple of mistakes creeping in.
Yeah, you just feel that Ronnie is trying to just play a bigger part in the match. He's not playing all that well so far, but also by the same token, Selby, he's looking to consolidate. He made a good start, but I think he would feel if he went into the mid-session 2-all, he'd missed out a little bit.
Well, on the long potting, Selby 7 out of 8 this afternoon. I don't know if he's just put off there slightly.
One.
It didn't make any difference to the pot.
That's a very good pot. Where's he going to end up, though? Big shot this. Played very confidently now. This is a chance to win the frame.
3.
The earlier chance never really quite happened. There'll be no excuse, I think, this time should he not win the frame from here.
Four.
As I say, it's a match, but there are matches within the one match. It's a opening session, it's an opening mini session. Selby looking to win it, get himself 3-1 up. And then there is the prospect, of course, of pulling away into a substantial lead in the second half. There's also the prospect, of course, of O'Sullivan coming back at him. But first things first, get this frame won. Just a couple of safety errors from O'Sullivan have contributed. Trying to get the white on the back cushion on that last shot, didn't quite get it to the cushion. Selby knocked in the red.
$19. $20.
So, this brown to put him 42 in front. Need another red, therefore, the one out in the middle.
$24.
Yeah, played that quite well. He's okay on the red. Doesn't matter what else happens as long as the red goes in.
$25.
I think it's a fair reflection of play. 3-1 Selby.
Yeah, of course he made the century, 102 in frame 3.
27.
Leads by 45. With 35 on. 3 snookers required. Always the chance of the free ball with the last red.
Mark Selby 27.
But he's sort of forcing O'Sullivan into potting it.
1. $8. For Selby 8.
Good effort. I think this is a little different. There's every reason to believe most players would play on here. Certainly Selby would have done if it was him. Of course, as you say, he was forced into potting the red, whereas he'd like to have kept it on the table. O'Sullivan, the free ball and all of that. Of course, the free ball counts for a lot more with the red on the table than it would do on the colours.
Well, it's never not interesting when these two play, whatever the match, but certainly finals carry an extra spice.
thinking about if Sullivan does lose this frame, 15 minutes to ponder over how the first part of it's gone, and he's just got to score better, I think. He hasn't really competed as well in that department. He's not any brilliant chances. Safety's not been as good as Selby's. Selby's potted a couple more long balls, so just about everything's got to improve. It's kind of in keeping with how his week has been. It's been just playing in snatches, really.
Two.
Yeah, 3-1, I think, definitely is a fair reflection of what we've seen.
Mark Selby, 2.
Surely now, this fourth frame will be over.
3. Seven.
Remember, it's first to 9 to win the Scottish Open. Mark Selby looking to defend the title and win ranking event number 19 of his career.
Mark Selby, 12.
Sullivan still not giving it up. Seems in 2020 not conceding when he lost is in fashion.
I think we should be going off 15 minutes now, personally.
Six.
Well, thank goodness the pink went in, and thank goodness the cue ball didn't, because the frame is over. And Mark Selby clearly the happier of the two as the players head to the interval. He's going to make his point by playing the black. It's all part of the little bit of spice that's in this match.
Well, the frame is over. I mean, this is ridiculous. There's no more playing on now.
Well, you can't get
Frame's over.
snookers on the black. It's just a fact.
Frame's over.
Mark Selby.
Nothing more to see.
Yeah.
Strange end, but it's Mark Selby, as I say, the happier of the two as they head off to the interval. 9 the target to be Scottish Open champion. Mark Selby leads Ronnie O'Sullivan by 3 frames to 1.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me three French hens, two turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me four calling birds, three French hens, two turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me five golden rings, four calling birds, three French hens, two turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the sixth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me six geese a-laying, five golden rings, four calling birds, three French hens, two turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the seventh day of Christmas, my true love gave to me seven swans a-singing, six geese a-laying, five golden rings, four calling birds, three French hens, two turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the eighth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me eight maids a-milking, seven swans a-swimming, six geese a-laying, five golden rings, four calling birds, three French hens, two turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Wake up, everyone. The match continue. Go, go. Let's go, Ronnie. Ronnie.
Four more big frames then to be played here this afternoon, with Mark Selby at the moment holding the edge at 3-1.
Okay. Okay, Ronnie. Frame 5. Ronnie or
Yeah,
Selby?
rather strange end to the previous frame, wasn't it? Clearly the frame is over when there's only the black left. There's too many in it.
O'Sullivan could still be in front coming back tonight. He'd have to win all four. Certainly, you'd say he needs to win 2 of the 4 to stay in touch. 3 of the 4 were back level again. Mark Selby made the high spray of the match in frame 302, his 8th century of the week. Sullivan's best of 72 in frame 2.
Well, Selby was lucky there, I think. Can't imagine that he's left anything. I wonder if there might be something to the middle, but with the black over the pocket. But it was an unusual sort of mistake for Selby to make. Thin safety shots he's played well all his career. Balls could have finished anywhere here. I feel there's a little bit of edge on this game now. Sullivan playing on and all that, that's what he's been doing. Not everyone likes it. In fact, hardly anyone likes it who's watching, from what I can see. Not sure Selby likes him doing it either. He's not broken any rules. I just think there's a little bit extra on this match. I'm sensing it.
Well, even in that last frame, you know, Selby potted the pink. The black was on the top cushion, so it wasn't potable. Could have just walked out for the interval, but he insisted on playing it. Then O'Sullivan attempted to play it and was told by the referee the frame's over.
Yeah, there's got to come to an end. The frames have to end. You just can't stay out there and just be in denial the frame's over. Especially the one before the mid-session. Most of the time people want to just go and have their 15-minute break. Anyway, for us, it's engrossing viewing. Played a good shot there, Sullivan.
Yeah, rest on top of the spider.
Safety shot with a good look about it. Although Selby can get to the thin edge. Saw him miss one of these earlier and hit the jaws by hitting it too thick. This doesn't look quite as difficult. You just have to worry about pushing the red somewhere over to the left of the table off another red. Handy kiss there on the green.
Stats tell us that Selby's safety so far has been more effective. Which is important, I guess, for him. He knows, as everyone does, what a ferociously good break builder Ronnie O'Sullivan is.
That's one of those shots which is just a containing shot. But it means that Selby could get him in more trouble on this next shot, playing up the table. Don't think you know if he can get in behind the green from there. The angle coming into the green doesn't mean he'll go in behind it very easily. He can gain the upper hand. Couldn't quite manage it. The Reds could go in all directions here, playing this shot for safety. Left a tempter. Thought he couldn't leave anything, but of course the red that you're playing is always, once you've missed it, a shot you've got no control over. Sullivan is straining at the leash, I think, to get him first in a frame. He was a bit lucky to get away with that. First I thought the red cut actually, but apparently not.
Foul, a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Well, looking for a thin edge, but got no edge.
Yeah.
Back it goes.
Well, the reason he's got a problem, he could play the second red in, but that red is in play on the way back up the table. And that's why he's going the other way. If that red wasn't there, it'd be a fairly easy safety shot down that side, but he can't risk hitting it on the way back up.
Yeah, Ronnie, thanks.
Not a perfect line, it's obviously very thin. That's a good shot, second time up. It was worth the 4-point foul to get there on take 2. So, advantage Selby, but only because you'd fancy him to pot this red and get the cue ball out of there onto a colour.
One.
Well, he's more than happy with that result. A little bit of guesswork in there, but as I say, you always thought he'd finish on something.
Seven. Eight.
Remember, Mark Selby's won 15 of his last 16 ranking finals. It's a very, very impressive record. Last 10 as well. He must have come in full of confidence after the semi-final last night, where he really did play well. He had 3 centuries against Jamie Jones, could have had more, but it's just a very good all-round display.
15. Twenty-one. 22.
Just chipping away with what's there at the moment, and he can get himself into a good lead, but you feel that he'll need something a little more than this to make it a frame-winning break. For now, you can only concentrate on pulling the balls in front of you. But those 7 reds down the bottom of the table likely to come into play, which the left 2 clearly are available if you get on them. Even then, in a frame like this, break of about 50 is quite a valuable break with the reds all safe.
36. 42. 43.
'With the pink on his spot, I don't think he'll risk trying to go into the reds on the right. If there's 5 reds, the pink could cover them. He'd rather play on, I think, a loose one here to be sure of having a next shot at a red.
$48.
Things get a bit more difficult from now on, though.
$49. 55. 56.
It's not how he played it. He played to get beyond the pink, play it into the same pocket, I think, as the red. He just knocked the last shot into. Maybe a double. Top red. Either way, he will need more. He'll need something amongst those 5 safe reds to put the frame safe.
Mark Selby, 62.
62 to lead by 58. 75 still on the table.
And what's the best plan here? Try and get the reds open maybe and play an attacking safety shot.
Could be a significant frame early on, couldn't it? If O'Sullivan could get in with a chance, you know, you'd fancy him to potentially make a winning break, but he's got to get in first.
Yeah, but you just feel that at the moment the match is being played more on Selby's terms, isn't it? The fact that he's, you know, these long safety battles of which a mistake is made and he preys on that mistake. That's kind of how Selby has always been happy to play snooker. O'Sullivan looks a bit frustrated. Didn't really want to get embroiled in all this. You can only play the shot in front of you.
Well, he needs 2 reds here. Leo Scullion watching everything here.
He's left a red. I mean, it's hard to see how far he could take this break, O'Sullivan here. You never know with him. It's a little awkward.
1.
Right, the other colours, bar the yellow not being on their spots, they're not really out of play either.
Yeah, that's the one thing Selby didn't get, was a safe colour on a cushion.
Any ideas about opening the 3 reds here? He certainly played to get a high angle.
8.
He certainly tried to. Difficult shot. And also to open the reds and get up the table at the same time. He hasn't really done it. I think the intention was good. The green's the easiest pot, but he's just drifting down naturally the right-hand side of the table as we look onto nothing. It's almost impossible to see how he could get on a red here. He needs to be on the left side of the table. What can he do that's beneficial? This is a tough shot, left-handed. One way you can get to the left of the table. It's a great effort, isn't it, with his wrong hand to play that shot. He's a bit straight on the red, and he's missed a couple into that pocket at pace.
Sullivan 14.
Oh, good grief. The cue ball has hung on, and what a difference, because that red would have been onto the middle had the white gone in.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a natural in off. You know, it's not really on, but it came very close to going in there.
Yeah, a bit too close, really. Anyway, hung on.
And behind the green might be the shot here for O'Sullivan. He's also developed a red. It's not too bad. I mean, I don't know if that top red will actually snick into the right middle from there, but sort of shot which would be easy to miss.
Didn't sound like a very good contact.
No, I think he's left the red on. He's not happy.
Sounded like a kick. Cue ball has not found the cushion. He's left this pot. Sullivan 44 behind, 59 on.
1. 38.
It's a very big frame, this one, isn't it? You can feel it. It's just another frame in best of 17 frame match, but I think there's more to it than this. Selby dominated it without ever quite putting it away.
9.
Possible counter-attack here. Ball's not impossibly placed for a clearance.
I think that pot success graphic, though, said it all. It's not that he's missed much, he just hasn't had that much to go at.
15.
Which is a sort of frame, though. Mark Selby 50-odd in front. You would normally fancy him strongly to have won.
16.
Just had one or two difficulties in this pocket, you know, with shots like this. Playing with a tiny bit of pace. It's okay from the cue balls.
24.
It's off straight, so it's okay. And those colours may look difficult, but actually get behind the yellow and everything else is very much close at hand. Probably the big shot will be blue to pink. I think he just got to ensure he doesn't somehow get snookered behind brown or blue on this green when knocking this yellow in. That's okay. He may not be happy, but I tell you, it's not badly played. Just a little bit of pace judgment that's got to be done here to get on the brown perfectly. With all this equipment on the cue, the extension, none of which is his own. It's just the stuff that they leave under the table. He can misjudge the pace. I'd be happy with that. That's a good shot.
So he needs the 4 remaining colours to win a frame that Mark Selby was certainly favourite in. Pulled one of these out the far yesterday, didn't he, against Liang, which was very significant. Pink and Selby can only tie.
51.
Oh, this is why he's world champion. He's dug himself out of a hole here against the most difficult man to beat in frames like this he'll ever play.
58 in the frame.
Yeah, you could not call that a straightforward clearance, but Ronnie O'Sullivan has made it nonetheless an important frame for him to stay in touch here. It's a steal for the world champ. He trails now 3-2. Well, it was a terrific clearance of 58 from Ronnie O'Sullivan to steal that 5th frame on the black, so he's right back in it at 3-2. Yeah, Selby was a little unfortunate, the safety he played. He tried to drop the white on the top cushion, got a kick, you could hear it, you could see it, did leave a chance, but even so, a great break.
Mark Selby to break.
3 frames left this afternoon. It's their 9th meeting in a final. Selby's won 5 the previous 8. The overall head-to-head, though, favours O'Sullivan 16-10.
Well, if you're a neutral, that's exactly what the match needed, that last frame. It was in danger of just running away from O'Sullivan in this session anyway. Who knows how tonight will go, but you know, he really dug in well there. You have to admire the way he won that frame. And you're right, Selby might have been a bit unlucky with the kick that he got, but he could have put the frame away before then. A couple of chances. He was kind of doing all the hard work, but the important shots went to that man in the end.
Yeah, it felt like an unusual frame for Selby to lose. He's reliable, normally 50 odd in front. He's also usually the man doing the clearing up.
Pretty good. Unusual shot again. Worry that one of the Reds would hit the cue ball on the way back up the table, but it didn't happen. It's been quite a safety battle between them. O'Sullivan has been more than happy to be involved in it. I thought he wouldn't want to. When he would try and get the balls open. Maybe Selby is scoring as well as him, if not better. This week would suggest he is. I think the bottom red in what there is of a cluster will pop. Right hand red. He's also looking at this plant. This looks highly ambitious. Screwing the cue ball back, this is difficult. Surprised he went for that. I thought it was a risk he didn't have to take. I mean, he could have left it for Selby. I don't think Mark would have played the shot. There was a pretty easy safety shot available to him.
One.
So Mark Selby in first in the 6th frame, looking to just put to one side the great steal from O'Sullivan in frame 5. Selby can still have a significant lead coming back this evening.
Seventh.
This was the shot O'Sullivan played and caught the blue as well. Yeah, and that was his reaction.
Yeah, it's one thing playing that if you're forced into it, but he wasn't forced into it. He had plenty of options for safety.
8.
It's a little bit awkward here. Pink and black sort of surrounded by reds. Blue off its spot. So this cue will have to travel for the low value colours.
Eleven.
Well, at least he can get the blue back on its spot here.
Yeah. 16.
Still a difficult table though, isn't it? Even though the blue is on its spot now. And of course the danger of this frame could go the way the previous did, because he got in and scored well. Made a 62 break. The black was never involved in the break, and we saw what happened. O'Sullivan pulled it out of the fire to win it. This is the same sort of a frame, isn't it, where the balls are?
It's the sort of frame where, you know, it'll be there a while to make 30. You know, it's relying on the small colours.
Twenty-one.
He's played that well to finish topside. Gives him a few options. The angle on the blue is perfect. Not a good shot. There is a red to the middle, but didn't play it very nicely, that last shot.
27.
Again, it's all hard graft.
Average shot times so far, O'Sullivan certainly higher there than you would expect.
33. Eight.
Feels like he should be further in front, but as I say, he's been taking the low value colours. He's had to.
39. Yeah.
Oh, I think he believes that was a kick. It
44.
sounded a little different to all the other shots he's played. He's on the red. He's just got to play with a little bit of power now to get up for a colour. It's not bad. It's just off straight, but he's got to hit this one now.
$45.
And he hit it beautifully. They're almost in the same sort of realms as the previous frame now. Chance to put it away. Does he or doesn't he?
$50.
Probably not is the answer. This is the kind of situation where I've seen Selby indecisive before, trying to nurse along a big lead and unsure of which shot to play. Might be just in behind the black, pushing the red up the table. Over a minute. Just looking at this. We've looked at about 4 different shots so far. We've been there before.
Well, I think he's clearly especially cautious after what happened in the last frame in a very similar situation.
Selby, 50.
Leads by 50, 75 still on.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously didn't want to stick the red that he rolled up to. I can understand it wasn't an easy decision to make. Well, he's got to push this red away from the pocket and play it safe. Played it pretty well.
Well, it would certainly be a body blow for Mark Selby if he lost another frame like this. Made all the running really today in terms of breaks. A century and 4 half centuries. A slightly resigned look from O'Sullivan there. but the red's not in. There's a big chance that.
Yeah, again, it's a bit like the last frame. It really is. The reds are all down the bottom, and they're at the moment relatively safe. Colours, though, are not.
One.
Now the angle on the black takes him into the reds if he wants to. Black is not so easy that you can just do anything with it. You've got to give it some attention. The pop, you know, it's not a simple shot. I think you got hold of it too much.
8.
Good effort.
For Sullivan, 8.
So Selby's miss not too costly this time, but still a frame in the balance. 42 in it. Still plenty on.
He missed a plant already, this frame into that pocket. He'll be tempted into this one. Bewildered as to how the red ended up the other end of the table. It's not so bad as all that.
Well, Ronnie doing his own commentary. How did that go up there? But, like you say, could have left it on.
Well, Selby could do with a couple more balls safe, really. I mean, reds are not a little tied up, but they're not impossible. And like I say, the colours are definitely not. Very thin safety shot. Now that looks difficult now with the pink where it is. Of course, there's no easy way up and down the table. Don't know if you can do it off the red, the right of the two that are close together. Swing the cue around from there, maybe, to avoid the pink. Pretty good.
Frame and the way the frame's going feels more significant because of what happened in the last one, where Selby was a big favourite at one point where the balls were. Sullivan made an excellent 58 clearance.
One.
Wow, what a knuckle that was. I don't know if he can get on a red or he can get the reds open, but to get on the black is not the worst thing to do here. Well, it was an incredible knuckle. Now I've seen it again. The fact that he got on the black with an angle to break the reds, that was a real piece of good fortune for O'Sullivan. It was a good red, but it was a good result as well.
For Selby 8.
Well, you heard the sigh. The pocket tried to take it. So, Mark Selby back at the table, leading by 34.
One.
Going to need pink, red and another colour. Barring snookers, should be 4-2 in front. Another hard-fought frame.
Seven. Eight.
Well, the chance did come for O'Sullivan in the end, this frame, but without the same success as the previous frame.
So it means there's 2 frames to play this afternoon. After this one, Mark Selby knows if he wins one of them, he's guaranteed a lead. And it'd be interesting if it's the next one. If he wins the next one, then the last frame, of course, becomes huge, because then there's a chance for 6-2.
Mark Selby 14.
Well, he's not podded that, so 2 snookers required.
Well, it was out of character for Selby to miss something like that. He knew that the importance of getting the frame one. There's just an outside chance now.
One.
Well, maybe not now. That's hard to think you could finish there. No shot at a colour. Seems strange that you wouldn't play off the cushion, try and pot the black and get the 7 points though, doesn't it? Don't see any point in playing any other colour. You might as well just try and fluke the black or something.
Brown, please.
Amazed. What's the point in playing the brown? Just conceding points, aren't you? As he's somehow trying to pot it. Don't understand that.
Sullivan 1.
Means he's not giving the frame up at least, but he couldn't get behind the brown, I don't think. He just leaked a few more points. Less chance of winning the frame now than he had. He was unlucky to finish there, I have to say. couple of cushions, you wouldn't think it would be a problem. He may even think about the swerve onto the bottom cushion and back into the red.
Well, the red goes in, it removes any doubt, as it is. You know, there is still a chance here because the red on the table, the free ball becomes a possibility.
Quite amazing with O'Sullivan, isn't it? How hard he's trying here. The 47 behind on one red. You know, there have been times when he lost to Stephen Hendry in the UK, 4-1 down in the best of 17, just walked out, didn't he? Now he's playing on when frames are. I mean, this frame I understand a bit more, but in the fourth frame he was trying to play on with just a black left, 60 behind or whatever it was.
What happened?
The marker told him he wasn't allowed to. You know, you've got to stop somewhere. So he's a very different plan of action than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, just wondering if it had potted the black. What is it next? A staring contest, maybe?
Well, it's an odd one, that. I've never seen anybody do that before.
Well, this is a chance maybe to put the red down and assure himself of the frame. There it is. Been hard fought. The last frame was 28.5 minutes. This is around about the same. Similar frames as well. Balls were awkward. The pink and black were tied up in this frame. Selby carved out that 50. But unlike the last frame, O'Sullivan didn't get in and clear up.
6. 8.
One thing's for sure, Selby's concentration, it just remains the same whatever happens.
15.
But he'll be pleased to win this frame after that wonderful clearance from O'Sullivan in the last.
Twenty. $26.
Two frames left then this afternoon. Half-hour frame.
33 in the frame.
Goes to
Mark
Mark Selby. It was hard fought. As I say, the balls were very awkward early on. He made that good 50. Mark Selby at the moment just holding Ronnie O'Sullivan at arm's length. He now leads him 4-2. Well, Ronnie's had another mug of hot water delivered between frames. That last frame quite lengthy, just over half an hour. It was won by Mark Selby, who leads this Scottish Open final 4-2. It's first to 9 to become champion. We have 2 more frames to play this afternoon. I guess O'Sullivan would feel he needs to win one of them at least. Obviously both he's level, but if he loses them both, then suddenly it's 6-2. As I say, this is an interesting one, because if Selby wins this one, then it does put pressure on that man for the last of the afternoon.
I just feel that the match is not being played on Ronnie's terms. You know, Mark Selby is doing what he does, making things, keeping the frames very tight, happy to score when the balls are not on. Ronnie might need to try and change something, get the balls open, I think, a little bit more.
Frame 7 then of a possible 17. Ronnie O'Sullivan trails Mark Selby 4-2.
playing the double, I think. Made the point that O'Sullivan is not really getting in early in frames very often. And that's the problem. You get in early and get scoring quickly and get in frames in one fairly quick visit. That's, of course, credit to Selby for stopping him doing it. It's another typical Selby shot there. He felt that he could pop that, not leave anything. That's very well played.
Eight. Nine.
Missable shot here. Cue ball heading up towards the loose red, the other side of the blue. Seen one or two of these missed this week.
That's Selby now.
Well, he'd be really disappointed there because there was an early opening in the frame, the kind of thing that hasn't happened very often. Selby's miss has cost him nothing. I don't know who asked for the cue ball to be cleaned there, whether it was a result of Ronnie's shot or Mark's previous. Didn't think Mark had got a kick personally, but it did throw off thick.
One.
I think O'Sullivan was mostly just stretching over on that shot. I think Mark was the one that may have thought he had a bad contact on his previous. Anyway.
6.
Well, there's a definite chance, as you say, for O'Sullivan to get in and start scoring early in a frame.
7. $14. 15. 22.
Oh, he's straight enough on this. You have to pot it and go through the bunch if you're going to run through. Come to the bottom of the cue ball. Again, this is an awkward shot now.
23.
Gradually getting out of position in this break. With probably not much chance to retrieve it. Not when the balls have ended up.
$28.
difficult pot this.
Mark Selby, 28.
Very much thinking about the cue ball for safety. Still, like the previous frames, isn't it? He's accumulated 37 points here with doing a lot of work, but not by any means putting the frame beyond any doubt. Reds all heading towards that right corner. Ronnie desperately needs some cover. Does the green come to his rescue or not? Certainly playing ball. I don't think he can pot that. Might be able to just bend it a little bit or play it from the cushion.
Yeah, big moment. This, look at the Reds. They're all out in the open now.
No, cushion first it is.
1.
Just 1 point. Might want to put a colour safe. I know there's a lot of points left on the table, but he might just decide that putting something on a cushion is to his favour.
Green ball. Mark Selby, 1.
Good safety shot from O'Sullivan to get that thin edge.
I one thing, it's going to be a tense evening if it's like this all the way through to the end.
Foul. Mark Selby, 4.
That's an incredible win-off. I thought Ronnie had been lucky actually at first, getting the double kiss and taking the cue ball up the table, but to going off, obviously not lucky. You wouldn't see that very often. The red doesn't go past the pink at range yet, at least, but there is another red near the right corner from hand, which he can take on. He's going through the gap here, isn't he? Yeah.
1.
Of course, these two have won the Masters 10 times between them. Ronnie O'Sullivan 7 times, Selby 3. And they will both be in action at Alexandra Palace next month. And hopefully there'll be crowds in attendance. But whether there are or not, we will be there for the whole 8 days here on Eurosport, January the 10th to the 17th. Stuart Bingham defending the title. All starts January the 10th.
4.
He may be 4-2 up, but I think it's essential that he clears up here, or he certainly puts the frame beyond doubt here, because another comeback from O'Sullivan, if he could steal this frame, then I don't know quite how the score would be so close. It's not quite over the line yet.
Six.
Yeah, got to put it away, and as I say, if he does, then it really does set up a big last frame in the afternoon.
7.
Not quite must win for O'Sullivan, but if he loses it, he's clearly in trouble. Coming back tonight, needing a really good start.
12.
Selby is 2 pots away here from opening up a 5-2 advantage.
13.
O'Sullivan did have that chance, didn't he, early on in the frame, missed the red after Selby had missed the black. It just seems that Ronnie O'Sullivan can't quite get in early in these frames, sort of put his stamp on. Going Mark Selby's way.
20. 21. 28. 29. 36. 37.
Yes, he hasn't missed very many today, Mark Selby. Pot success is 91%. I can think of 2 or 3 fairly important shots, or seemingly important at the time, shots that he has
44.
missed. But it's been pretty reliable.
45.
'Cause he's made the only century of the day. Go 2-1 up. But I think, as we're saying,
50.
there is one more frame to play. If Ronnie O'Sullivan could win it, I don't think 5-3 would be too bad a scoreline for him.
52.
The main, he's been sitting there watching Selby all afternoon.
He'd like to win it, I'm sure. If he could win it, you know, get in early with a big break, that might
55.
just send him off with a break between sessions, feeling a bit better about things. But the main thing is get it on the board, I guess, from his perspective. Mark Selby just controlling things at the moment.
59. 64.
Aiming to join Judd Trump and Neil Robertson on 19
70.
career ranking titles. And he's only 4 frames away now from doing that.
77 in the frame. Mark Selby.
77 clearance then from Mark Selby to set up a big last frame of the afternoon. 3 clear for the first time at 5-2. Welcome back. So we've got one more frame to play this afternoon. We know Mark Selby will be in front coming back this evening. The question is by how many? It's 5-2. So it's either a 4-frame or a 2-frame advantage. Won that last frame well with a good 77 clearance.
The final frame of this session. Mark Selby to me.
Well, if Selby wins this one, then he really does move closer to picking up the Stephen Hendry Trophy. 5-2, last frame of the afternoon, big frame. Not a good break-off from Mark Selby.
One.
No, what a chance.
5.
Although the cue ball has stopped, and now it's a slightly awkward red with the rest. Should have been the one in the middle. Deciding on the rest in the end after thinking about putting the extension on his cue.
Six.
Yeah, played it well. If this was just played straight through from first frame to last, this wouldn't feel maybe like such a big frame, but obviously there's going to be good 2.5 hours, nearly 3 hours before we start again, so undoubtedly it's one they both want to win.
11.
Selby has just ruled the roost this afternoon.
Twelve.
There was a suspicion that it would go this way after the form of the two players this week, and sometimes that's all you can really go by when matches are so close. They went to the whole of 33 frames in the World Championship in August, so you know there's nothing between them, albeit they've got contrasting styles. But this week, Selby has been in better form than O'Sullivan. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, I put a little poll up on Twitter before play began, asking our viewers who they thought would win. Now, Ronnie's got obviously a lot of fans, more fans than any other player, but 61% went for Selby, just on an opinion on who would win. Of course, the polls aren't always right, we know that, but at the moment, it's bearing out.
$21. 22.
22.
29. $30.
Now, a lot depends on the angle he gets onto the open red on. Got a high angle. I think the other red that's just sticking out slightly above the one he's going to play, that might pop to the left middle, which means he may not go into them. He's having a look now. The other thing he's looking at is possibly an angle to go into the bunch, so it's between the two options.
38.
They're playing on the loose one, but again, it'll all be about
45.
2 or 3 shots down the line where he does get the bunch open as to whether he goes on and wins the frame.
Mark Selby, 45.
Now that was a surprise. It was always a little bit top jaw, maybe a little slower in pace. I think the ball would have accepted, or the pocket would have accepted the ball, I should say. Be annoyed with that because he was under no pressure during that break.
Yeah, I mean, he was gearing up to the shot you were talking about into the pack, but he never came. It's another frame, though, where he's been in first, got a lead on the board.
Whether he can see the bunch or not, Selby will be pretty uncomfortable about splitting those 5 reds up here. Be unsure where they're going to go, and of course he might not be able to get to them, like I say. He's very good at protecting a lead in a frame.
This has been Sullivan's problem today, not being able to get in first and put his mark on the frames, the sort of file it is. But here's a chance.
Didn't go to plan, did it? Much too thick. Some sort of a chance. So another moment in this session which might prove relevant at a later date. What's happening here? Ronnie saying that Mark Selby's doing something to, I don't know.
Picking up his water, I think he said.
Yep.
Well, he's missed the red.
There's an argument he might have put himself off there, I think.
Well, I mean, he's picking up his water now, so.
One.
Anyway, it was a chance, but Mark Selby back at the table, 40 odd in front. Of course, there was that sort of flashpoint, wasn't there, when he played Mark Allen in the Champion of Champions. He felt Allen was stood in his line for a couple of shots. Mark Allen firmly denied it.
6.
Look, I do think that there's more scope for players putting each other off with no spectators in there. It's very hard to be statuesque when you're down there, sitting there watching. You've got to still remain alive, haven't you? You can't just completely not move. Didn't see what happened, but it's a shame Ronnie got distracted by it because it didn't help him on his next shot.
$14. Selby 14.
Well, Selby still needed another red after that one.
Now you've got one last push in this session. Sullivan, can he win this frame?
Six.
On the red, sometimes in the overhead you get a great view, but you just can't tell. You may have to play this with just a trace of right hand side. Yeah. And that right hand side just took him into the blue rather than slipping beyond it. I tell you what, this would be, you could pull this up from his boots, this clearance, it would be some effort. He's been so subdued all afternoon. They've battled for every point.
14.
So when you thought the frame and the session was done, this chance has cropped up.
Yeah, one last little moment of inspiration needed here this afternoon. I think subdued is a good word, but he's played the cannon to open those two reds.
You know, he's competed for every point. He's not any of that we've seen before where he's not done so.
22.
All this comes really down to that bottom red, and why wouldn't you play on it now? You're going to need it anyway. Doesn't have to be the last red, the safe one.
$29. Oh yeah.
Spotted a bit of chalk on the red.
Well, you can get a kick, can't you, when you think there's something on the ball. I mean, these have been hugging the cushion, played slowly all the way through. At pace, of course, they'd sometimes rattle and stay out. It's a massive shot, this one, you know.
$30. $37.
Well, he made that great clearance in frame 5 to steal that frame, and this frame looked a couple of times to have gone away from him. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Who saw that coming?
Yeah, I mean, he'd taken those few shots very well. That was a terrible shot, unlike him.
So from being set up to win an important frame, could well lose it now. 22 behind. In goes the red. Well, if that's O'Sullivan's last shot of the afternoon, it's not going to be one he'll look back on too fondly. He's still a bit bemused by it. Selby needs the yellow. It should be 6-2. A dramatic last frame of the afternoon.
Yeah, but he's not quite on it, is he? I mean, while you'd expect him to get this, he's got to use the rest. It is a missable shot.
Six.
Potted it well. Well, it's not the deciding frame, but it does seem, at the moment, it feels decisive, because not just the fact that Selby's won it, but how he's won it. With O'Sullivan missing that red when he had what looked like a golden chance to make the winning clearance. It's been a rather bitty afternoon from O'Sullivan's perspective. Hasn't got in and made the breaks you might have expected from him. Here's the red again, and you can see his reaction as well, just disbelieving.
24.
So it's advantage very much Mark Selby as the afternoon session ends.
Mark Selby.
He's got a 4-frame lead, and he's only 3 away from retaining this Scottish Open title. He leads Ronnie O'Sullivan at the halfway stage by 6 frames to 2.